Hey guys, it's Morgan coming to you with another tech video. This one's actually a pretty simple one, not going to be real long, but it's an important one. If you guys own a relatively modern motorcycle, and I'm talking from like 95 or 96 on, dirt bike wise, you are dealing with a nikasil plated cylinder. It might not actually be nikasil, it could be chrome. Anyway, there's lots of different platings they use. We call them all nikasil because that's easy. But it's a plated cylinder. It's an aluminum cylinder with an aluminum bore, which obviously would not hold up to rings going up and down in it, but then it gets plated with a hard material, sometimes nickel silicone situation, sometimes other ones, and that is what keeps the bore round and all that good stuff. And then sometimes you wear that out, or eventually probably you'll, if you ride a bike long enough you will, or if you get dirt in there or you get scratches or whatever. And unlike in the old days of steel cylinders and steel sleeves, where you could just have it bored over and buy a next size over piston, you can't do that anymore. Well, you can, but it's a lot harder. Generally what we do is just send it off to a company like Millennium Technologies. That's who I personally use. Other guys use Landcourt, US Chrome. They're all good and bad. I mean, I've heard good and bad things about all of them. I personally have had the best luck with Millennium. I really like those guys. They've done really good for me. So I'm going to show you what you do to get a cylinder ready so they charge you the least amount of money possible. So we've got this cylinder. It's off of that Husaberg TE300, which is just a KTM 300 cylinder. You can see that is worn through right there. That kind of lighter gray color, that is bare aluminum. Cylinder or piston wore through that thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this all apart, get it all cleaned up, and get it prepped and ready to go. Let's walk through that process. All right, the key to this costing you the least amount of money possible is getting this cylinder as clean and as free from any extra parts as possible. The vent comes unscrewed. This one, they normally don't just come unscrewed like that with the hose, but you got to get that vent out of there. You got these little dowels up here. Those need to come out. Sometimes these are a real pain. Good. These ones aren't, which is really, really good. Now, I highly recommend you getting a little Ziploc bag for these small parts. And parts like these and like this power valve vent, like they're not like hard to figure out where they go, what side they go on or anything like that. They just are, I mean, it's really simple. So I just chuck them all in the same little bag. When we get to the power valve stuff, we'll do a little bit differently. So those in a bag. Now we're going to get our O-rings out. That one's already out. All right, now we're going to start taking about the power valve. And no, I'm not washing this yet because it's going to get a lot easier to wash when it's in more pieces. So we got to get some Allens here. I'm going to set this just over here for now. We will, like I said, put this in bags to kind of keep track of things. Now I have done so many of these, I don't really need to have everything left to right separated, but I'm going to show you guys how I used to do it, but when I was just learning. So get this flange off. You're going to need something soft. You don't want to hit it with the metal part, some sort of dead blow. There we go. All right, so now we're going to take apart the actual actuator part. And so this right here, this screw is an adjuster to set the height of the power valve. You can set it a little more closed, a little more open to kind of tune the motor. So if you set it like more closed, it's going to have more low end but not open quite as much or as far. So a little bit less top end, or you can set it open just a tiny bit and it'll get more over rev. But I like to leave it where it was for the customer because probably that's where they like it. I can discuss it later with them if they want to change it, but so I leave this attached and don't mess with it. So, all right, so guys, this is where if you want to keep things separate and you don't want to take a chance, you want to start putting things in separate bags. So this is the left side because it's as if we're sitting on the motorcycle. The exhaust goes this way and takes over here. So this is the left side. So, and we'll get a marker and we'll mark this as left later. But the other cool thing is on here, I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's an L marking left. Now this, guys, is one of the things that people have the hardest time with is getting these screws out. They are thread lockered in, they're super tight, and they're small Torx, so they're easy to strip out. So you don't want to do that. I'll show you how to do this carefully and not ruin them. T25 Torx. You want to make sure it fits nice and tight. It does. Then here's the key. Blue wrench, a little bit of heat. And you'll see I'm putting it on, not on the bolt, because I'm trying to heat up the metal around it to expand the metal around it so it comes loose. If you heat up the bolt, it will probably also work, honestly. It's gonna break that thread locker down. But if you heat the metal around it, it'll also break the thread locker and hopefully not heat the bolt as much as the metal around it. These don't take a ton of heat. Put this down here nice and flat so we can get to it. There we go. Now these bolts are bolts that I actually always keep in stock, just in case. Alright. Keep her out of the way. Now these should just slide right out. Now come to this side. And this is the side. Pay attention how this comes apart because you can mess this up, the spring and stuff like that. It's relatively easy to get it right, but you can also jack it up. But so again, I know how this goes, so I'm not too worried about it. Another bag for right hand side stuff. I'll put our left hand, these things in there. All right, same process over here. Last piece out is the flapper. They usually get stuck in there again, soft side of the deck below. There we go. Now these are, they do go left and right, but it doesn't actually matter. So I don't worry about those, you know, which side you pulled them off of, because they'll go on either side. They're symmetrical. But I do go ahead and put one in each bag. Now this thing and this flange, I'm going to clean them here at the shop, but then I'm going to have our buddy Mike Schwartz vapor blast them, because I have a bead blaster. I can get this off. It takes me way longer than his vapor blaster, and he doesn't charge us just a ton to do it. One of these days I will own a vapor blaster. Maybe we'll do a financial drive for Highland Cycles to afford a vapor blaster, and then to pay you guys back for helping me get it all vapor blast parts for free for anyone that helped afford it. They're just crazy expensive. So but yeah, so now this thing is technically ready to go. You could send it just like this and they would do it and they wouldn't lose anything. The problem is usually people forget to take these little things out, like the power valve vent and the little dowels, and I've seen them actually break those dowels, which is not awesome. And then also they'll lose things or put them in the box and get lost. So there's that's no good. So you got to get that off. But the other thing is, if you send it to them like this, they're gonna extra charge you. They'll extra charge me too, as a dealer. So you want to, right now we want to do a really good job of cleaning this. I'm gonna go heat the ultrasonic cleaner up while I get all the gasket off, and then we'll put this in there and try to get this really, really clean before we ship it. All right, guys, got that out of the ultrasonic. It is still super dirty, but it's all loosened up now. It's nice and warm. And I'm going to take it over to our parts washer. I'm not going to show you, but I'm going to get this nice and cleaned up, and I'll show you what the kind of final product, what it should look like to save you the most money when you send it to Millennium. All right, there we go, guys. That is plenty clean from Millennium. They're not going to charge you any extra if you get it this clean. Obviously, it's not perfect, but they're going to be vapor blasting it and doing all kinds of work, and then obviously stripping the old nikasil out and putting the new on. So they're going to do a ton of work to it. It's kind of like when you bring a bike here. If you put a little effort in and show that you put effort in, they're not going to charge you for cleaning it. Now, If people bring bikes in here they clearly didn't even attempt to clean, we charge them, right? But if they gave it their best shot, got it as clean as they could with what the situation they had, then I'm not going to charge them even if I have to do more cleaning. So there's that. Now the deal with boxing it up, guys, you want to make sure you get a box big enough to hold this and the piston. You always want to send the piston with it because they'll match the cylinder to the piston. I know we'd all like to think that every piston is exactly the same. A, B, C, they're all exactly the same, whatever. Every A is an A and every B is a B, but the reality is when it comes to machining, machinists are incredibly anal retentive. And so it's best to send the piston and then they'll match it and make it absolutely perfect. It ends up being better than, when it was OEM. So there you go. Hope that was helpful, guys. Hopefully that'll save you some money. And you'll learn a lot by taking these things apart and taking a look at it, make sure everything's good. Also, you get a good look at things, make sure there's nothing weird like any cracks or anything like that. If there are, Millennium can fix those, but it's nice to be able to point those out when you send it in. So hope you guys like that. We'll see you on the next one.